Time now for the Markets with Layton. You say we have another sign of some health in the ag sector.
U.S. tractor sales were up in the month of August. More on that here in a few minutes. Also looking at the markets this week, Brazil is planting more soybeans, making for more competition. The U.S. beef cow herd could grow 2% in 2014, while export business is supporting the U.S. dairy sector. We are producing this edition just ahead of the release of the September 12th USDA reports. The average pre-report trade guess for the World Ag Supply and Demand estimates as far as U.S. corn, U.S. production of 13.6 billion bushels with an average yield of 153.6 bushels per acre. And as far as U.S. soybeans, the average trade guess is a harvest of 3.14 billion bushels with an average yield of 41.1 bushels per acre. Analyst John Roach expects further reductions in the size of the U.S. soybean crop as the weeks roll on. He notes that chief U.S. competitor Brazil is planting more soybeans than ever right now.
South American currency values are cheap. The producers there are not able to make any money on corn at these values. They're going to plant a lot of beans. Estimates are 6% more beans in Brazil, maybe even as much as 8% more beans in Brazil. So there's going to be a lot of competition in the southern hemisphere. Their crop, where they're going to need to raise a big crop, we're going to need it. So we'll have chances for weather scares. So the bean market overall has turned into a rather positive situation because of these weather conditions.
Cotton futures were hovering in their recent trading range Thursday morning ahead of the government's updated supply-demand estimates. Some analysts think this market will need some positive news from China, India, or other major consumers in order to maintain prices above 82 cents. Extension Ag economist John Michael Riley discussed cotton with me this week. John Michael, what are cotton prices doing just ahead of the new reports?
Well, the nearby October contract up pretty strong, about $1.20 right before we went on air. The December contract not up quite as strong, but all contracts are up today. That tells me the market is looking for some bullish news coming out of the reports today.
Which could mean crop conditions declining overall.
We have seen crop conditions decline just a little bit. They're at 45% good and excellent right now. That leaves a lot in the poor and very poor conditions. Texas is the dominant state that is in the poor condition range. So very much so, and that's where the bulk of the crop is. Over half the acres are there. So that's why we're really keying in on the poor conditions and the potential yield loss as a result.
All right, we have found out that weekly exports or export sales in general are lagging for cotton. What's that trend mean?
Well, we have seen the dollar increase throughout the whole year. It's been up and down a little bit lately, but more up days than down days. Importers are jumping on those days when the dollar is down, trying to capture some exchange currency favors there. But for the most part, the dollar has been strengthening throughout the year, and that is never good for exports. And we have seen exports lag behind where we were at a year ago. Which
in broad terms means China, India, other major importers are not buying U.S. cotton right now.
That is exactly what we're seeing. That's where our exports are still going. They're just not going there at the rate that we'd like to see.
So what kind of outlook do you see for this market without having seen these latest numbers yet?
Well, knowing that the crop is in poor condition, acres are down very much so compared to last year. So all of these are, why we've seen prices not dip below 70 cents really this whole year. If the conditions continue to decline and if yield suffers in today's report, we're going to see some strong prices. Rains in Texas, it's this time of the year, it's really too late. Exports are really what we're going to be keying on because that's what we don't know with respect to the future.
Mm-hmm. So it's just kind of wait and see at this point in the year.
Unfortunately, yes, but yeah, more information will become available very soon.
September is National Honey Month, so this week's honey is the subject of our trivia quiz. Our question, what types of honeybees are found in a hive? Is the answer queen, drones, workers, or all of the above? I'll tell you at the end of the markets. An Oklahoma Extension economist believes an increase of 2% in the size of the U.S. beef cow herd is possible next year. Daryl Peel at Oklahoma State University says that an additional 2 to 3% growth could take place in the following year of 2015. Now, as for the present, Peel describes the latter half of this year, 2013, as a period of herd stabilization in the United States with little or no growth taking place. U.S. milk exports are up, and this factor has been supporting the U.S. dairy sector. All of this according to analyst Naomi Bloom. She describes what's been happening in the milk market and what the outlook may be.
Production levels are up 1.1% from a year ago, and that makes sense because the drought really hit production hard last year. So normally when you have a 1% increase in production on milk, that's something that can make the market fall a lot lower. The reason that we're not is because our dairy exports overall are up 13%, and that's what's really supporting the market. With also this week, when the soybeans have gone higher, that's also helped support the milk prices to go higher as well. And just a reminder for those at home who aren't maybe familiar with the dairy industry, break even now for these guys is $17 to $18. It's really shocking when you stop to think about it. So if we can keep prices between 17 and 19, at least that keeps things afloat.
The Association of Equipment Manufacturers says U.S. tractors are selling well these days. The August sales of two-wheel drive units were up 13.6% compared to 1 year ago, while sales of four-wheel drive tractors increased 2.3%. The trade association notes that the biggest percentage increase in sales for the month and year to date has been in two-wheel drive tractors with 100 horsepower or more. Well, before our feature story, let's look at the trivia answer for this week. The correct choice is D. In a beehive, you will find queen, drone, and worker bees.